Alright guys, today's video is on dividing fractions and mixed numbers. So let's start off, make sure you have your notes page. We're going to start off with some vocabulary. A reciprocal are two fractions, are reciprocals of each other if their product is equal to 1. So basically what that means is if I have a fraction of 1/3, another number that would make a product that equals 1 would be 3/1, because if I multiply those two fractions together, that gives me 3/3, which is equal to 1. So that means that 1/3 and 3/1 are reciprocals of each other. Okay, do you notice some kind of pattern here? All right, so basically a reciprocal is simply that fraction flipped over. So the reciprocal of 1/6 would simply be 6/1. The reciprocal of 2/3 would simply be 3/2. And 2/5 would be 5/2. All right. Okay, so on your notes, you have three problems here. Write the number and then write its reciprocal, please. So go ahead and take some time to do that. So its reciprocal should be 9/8, 7/5, and 14/3. Notice I'm not putting an equal sign. They are not equivalent to each other. They're simply reciprocals of each other. Okay? All right, so how does that change, or what makes that different if we have either mixed numbers or whole numbers? Okay, if we have mixed numbers or whole numbers, we're still looking at the whole part, the whole thing here, not just the fractional part. So the first thing I need to do is I need to turn this improper. So 1 1/3 as an improper fraction. Remember, we're multiplying and then adding. So 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1, this is 4/3. So its reciprocal would simply be 3/4. Okay, you see what I did there? I turned it improper first and then flipped it. So if I turn this improper, that's 12 plus 1, that's 13/6. So its reciprocal would be 6/13. Okay. All right, if I have a whole number, I can always turn a whole number into a fraction by simply putting a 1 underneath it. Okay, that's as easy as it needs to be. To turn a fraction, or sorry, a whole number into a fraction, I just put a 1 underneath it. So now my reciprocal, flip it, simply becomes 1/5. Okay, 12/1, its reciprocal would be 1/12. All right, on your notes, would you please find the reciprocals of these numbers? Write the number itself and then write its reciprocal. Okay. So this would be 4/23. This would be 8/18. And this would be 1/7. Okay, so you need to understand reciprocals for when we're moving into division here. All right, so let's move on into division. All right, so here's the thing you need to keep in mind when you are dividing fractions. Keep, change, flip. As long as you keep that in your head, you will easily be able to do this. So keep means to keep the fraction as is, the first one, change it to a multiplication sign, and then flip the second number, which is its reciprocal. So here's an example here. If you don't have this on your work, I'm just going to do it with you. We'll do plenty of examples in a second. So 3/4, I'm going to keep it the same. Then I'm going to change to a multiplication problem. And then I'm going to flip the second number. And then it's simply a multiplication problem. And you know how to solve those. Multiply straight across. So that becomes 6/4. Now, you might get an improper problem answer, so you have to change it. Never leave your answer improper. We've talked about that before. So you need to divide. How many 4s goes into 6? That's 1. And 2/4 is left over, which would simplify to 1 1/2. Okay? All right, so now let's move on to your notes into some problems. All right, so if you notice, I put the keep, change, flip up here, so we're going to do some practice. So here's my first number, 7/8. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to change it to a multiplication problem, and I'm going to flip it. All right. So now I'm just going to simply multiply straight across. Okay, ooh, 16 times 7. Let's see, that's 42. Carry my 4. All right, and then over 8. That's improper, so I need to divide. So let's see. All right, so I don't actually have a remainder here. So my problem, my answer ends up being a whole number, just 14. Okay? All right. Here's another problem. Why don't you go ahead and pause the video and you do this one, follow the example from before, pause the video and come back for your answer. All right, check your answer. When I got my answer here, I just simply needed to simplify, divide by 4, so I did that. Okay? All right, so now let's move to dividing mixed fractions. The only thing different here is I have a step above. Looking at that problem, what do you think the step before I need to do? Yep, I need to turn them improper first. Okay, so the very first step is I need to turn them improper. So this becomes 11 over 2 divided by 4/3. Now it looks like exactly like it did before. Two fractions divided by each other. So I'm going to keep, I'm going to change, and I'm going to flip. Okay. Now I'm going to multiply straight across. So that gives me 33 eighths. That's an improper fraction, so I need to divide. So 8 times 4 is 32. I have 1 left over. Keep the same denominator. So 4 and an eighth. Okay? Doing good. Stick with me. All right, next one. All right, let's first turn it improper. So 8 times 4 is 32. That's 33 eighths divided by 11 over 2. Okay, let's keep, change, flip. Okay, are you with me? I'll slow down a little bit. All right, why don't you take it from here, pause the video, and come back when you have your final answer. All right, check your answer there. So it wasn't improper. The problem wasn't improper, your answer, but I did need to simplify it. Okay, so hopefully you recognize that you needed to simplify it. You might have just divided by 2. You might have divided by some other things, but 22 was the greatest common factor. All right, now let's do a couple word problems with division here. So Rosa makes 2.5 cups of pudding. This is how much she has, and she wants to know how many 1/3 cup servings she can get. So basically think about it. She has this much pudding, and she wants to know how many thirds can she take out of it. How many thirds? How many thirds can she get out of it? Okay, so that's dividing because I want to see how many thirds. So she has 2.5 cups. That's how much she has. And she wants to break it into or divide it into 1/3 cup servings. Okay, you know how to do this. We need to turn this improper first. So that is that's 5 over 2 divided by 1/3. So now let's keep, change, flip. Multiply straight across. That gives me 15/2. Divide. That goes in there 7 times. 1 is left over. Keep your remainder on top. Keep your same denominator. So she can have 7.5 servings. 7.5 servings. Okay. Let's try the next one. B can run 1/6 of a mile in 2 minutes. So how long would it take her to run 2 miles? Okay. Well, let's look at the miles and miles here first. Okay. So basically, this is how much I know she needs, but I want to know how many sixths are in 2 miles. So that's what I need to figure out first. So I need to have my 2 miles, and I need to break it into sixths, because that's how much I know. I know she can, this is actually her 2 minutes. Okay? So I'm just going to put that over 1 right now. So I want to keep, change, flip. So if I multiply straight across, that gives me 12 over 1. So I'm not finished here. Be careful, because at this point, I want to know how long it takes her to run 2 miles. So there are 12 sixths in a mile. But remember, there are 12 of them, and how long does it take her to run a sixth? It takes her 2 minutes. So I need to multiply this by 2 minutes. So 12 times 2 minutes would give me 24 minutes. Okay, that was a harder one. Okay. All right, now let's do some practice here. All right, so let's do these two first. Let's do 1 and 2. Pause the video and come back for your answer. You do those two first, okay? All right, check those answers. Okay. All right, let's move on to the harder ones here. So the improper, or the mixed numbers here. Remember, first you have to turn them improper, okay? So now let's work on 3 and 4. Pause the video and come back with your answers. Only come back with your answers. Don't just cheat, okay? You have to have integrity here, okay? Do the problem. Pause the video and come back with your answers. All right, check those answers. All right, when you got to this one right here, 69 over 1 and 69 over 105, if you did not know, you could have divided that by 3. That's how I simplified it, okay? All right, the last one here. Your friend wrote the reciprocal of 5 and 3/8 as 5 and 8/3. Explain why your friend is incorrect. So think about that. I'm telling you, it's incorrect. So what's the matter with it? Yeah, you cannot simply just look at the fractional part. You have to turn it improper first, then flip it. So it should be, let's see, this is 43 eighths, and then when you flip it, its reciprocal should be 8 over 43. Okay? All right, so this was a long video, guys, a lot of information. So if you're having problems, please let me know and I can help you tomorrow. It's a lot of steps here, okay? So let me know how you're doing. You've got 4 problems. I'm going to take this one off. So you've got 4 problems for your exit slip, okay? So that's what I'm going to be looking for. Make sure your answers are proper. All right, we had a long video. I hope you have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow.